Hello everyone, Blink here. Today I'm gonna show you guys a coaching session that I had with a silver player where we cover a lot of concepts with the main focus of answering the question of how to actually improve at the game, not just play game after game. You will find timestamps on the description in case you're interested in some concepts more than others, but I really encourage anyone who wants to improve to watch this until the end, as it will set you on track to really start improving at the game.
An afternoon. Why is it not very loud? I don't know.
Yeah, it's 4 p.m. here, 4:45.
Okay. So hold on. Let me go find that video myself because there's been a few videos since then. Played a few games since then.
I have it linked here if you want it instantaneous. But yeah, I was mainly watching it and writing down stuff that we can discuss after you get into the call.
Lay it on me.
All right. So let me know first. Is this your main account on the game?
Yeah.
And I see that you haven't been played that much. Is this your first season?
I started playing in like January or something.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So it's just you just picked up the game quite.
Well, the count is actually kind of old because I don't know. I registered in like 2006 or 8 or something like that. I played like 4 games. Anyway, I've only been playing in earnest since this year.
Okay. So let me know. What is your main goal with League? You just wanna learn the basics, or pick up the game, or you're looking for more?
That's a good question.
I mean, it's kind of early to ask because you've been playing only one season, but yeah, it depends because I know some people are more into like the fun part of League, and other people like more serious stuff. So I just want to know before we begin so I can adjust accordingly.
Sure, thank you for asking. I just want to get better. Like, I work in video games, and this is a really good example of a competitive game that I'm trying to like learn, and it's I find it interesting and fun. I'm the kind of person who likes to just sit and do one thing over and over until I get really good at it, right?
Yeah, so like focus fully on one thing instead of just splitting.
I just like to practice and get better at things. And then ancillary goal is kind of learn how I put all this together. Professional curiosity. So yeah,
it seems fine. Yeah, because after you learn like mechanics of this game, you can then apply to make your own game make sense.
Yeah, that's like the ancillary goal.
Okay. So all right, so what I usually do before going over the game itself, I usually like to go over the OPGG, because in OPGG you can basically gather all the statistics and stuff from the players, so that is a good way to see like some bad habits that people have, or maybe you can just check it if you see their CS per minute is not on point. You can find a problem there, but yeah, you don't have that much data available because you haven't played that much, but there is still some things that we can go over really quickly, and then we will jump up to the game itself. So main thing, in order to basically, because I want to first address the improving against the climbing topic, because a lot of players have this problem, and I think that because you're just starting out, if you fix this right in the beginning, it's gonna be so much better, because you won't be, because I know players that have been playing years in thousands of games, and they still do the same thing because they are not actively improving at the game. They're basically playing game after game, expecting something to change. And I think it's a problem of a little bit of the game, and then the community as well, because nobody has really explained how to actually improve. So people just get this idea that, oh, maybe if I play more games, I'll get better. But it is actually the only thing you are doing is reinforcing your current habits. So that is one thing that I think that if you get it right just from the beginning, you will have an upper hand from all other players. So you'll improve much faster, just so that you don't waste any time.
Great.
So yeah, like going deep into this is basically setting up a practice environment, or at least separating practice from climbing, understanding that when you are climbing or when you are looking to climb, the way you go about the game is that you try to do everything that you know. You try to display that skill at the 100%, right? You try to basically win the game, basically, right? With everything that you have. But when you are improving, instead of doing that, because that itself is for climbing, but it doesn't improve you. But in order to actually improve, you need to like identify first your mistakes, and then basically tunnel vision into each and every one until you fix it. So, for example, let's say you have a problem with CSing, right? You feel like your CS per minute is low, whether it's on laning phase or after laning phase. So you say, okay, I'm gonna practice this individually until it's fixed before jumping onto something else. And that is how you actively fix problem by problem, or bad habit by bad habit, or you actually start implementing new stuff. This is the way that I'm going about, and I'm teaching my students this way. And I think it's much faster than if you just play game after game and try to improve like 1%. Just by playing, but it's actually not even 1%, to be honest. Sometimes people just get even worse by playing more. The way.
So you mean like have a day where I'm in the practice tool, just practicing CS?
Could be practice tool, but could also be the way I go about it is because I'm really like in depthful. How's the word? Like I do a lot of research in the psychology and neuroscience field, and
Cool.
I know a lot of players have these bad habits a lot of the time, and I think that that's the first step to actually start improving, because you eliminate the autopiloting this way by adding new habits. So I usually like to do certain things. You can practice them of course on the practice tool, but there's other things that you need to simulate a game in order to practice them. So for example, if you want to practice your CS per minute on a real game, or you want to practice, for example, let's say for example, this is a better one, you want to practice your survivability, right? You want to start paying more attention to what can kill you, the minimap, where's the jungler, all of these questions. So you cannot practice that in a practice tool. So you will do that basically. I like to do it or normal games or in flex games, the flex queue, so that you separate climbing from improving, because I think these two queues, a normal game and flex, are not people don't take it too seriously, and you can also use that to not fuck up your elo, right, or your main account elo on solo queue. So yeah, I'm gonna give you really quick the one of the Excels that I give to my students a lot. Just give me 1 second, I'm gonna find it out. So it's basically an Excel to keep track of everything that we wanna improve on, and to write down also your current results regarding KDA, CS per minute, and everything.
Cool.
Okay, I'm giving you here the link. Let me know if you can see it. This is one field from a student, so you can see the example. But if I'm gonna explain really quick, and then we can make a copy of it and save it in your own drive, so you can delete the data.
Cool.
So yeah, basically here it's the part where you left part, basically like the first rows are for keeping the first columns are for keeping track of statistics, basically final CS, against what champions you're playing, KDA, what time of the day, because there's certain times of the day that people play better. It's maybe in the morning you play better, or in the evening. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, but yeah, that's the first part. And then the second part of the Excel is on the right, where it says goal this game and notes, which is basically the important part, where you will keep track, or you will select one of the things you want to practice, and you will tunnel vision onto that for a number of games. Usually it's between 15 or 20, depending on the difficulty of the fundamental that we're practicing. So for example, this player is practicing first CSing, or looking for high CS, and not dying. Which, well, he picked up 2 at the time because he felt like they are interrelated. So basically, if you don't die, you're able to CS more. So they were kind of interrelated. But yeah, I always try to like say to practice one at a time, so that you don't how to say it, yeah, so you basically learn it faster, because if you try to practice 5 habits at a time, it might take you a lot of time, because you will only improve so much on each and every one of them. So yeah, you can go basically to File, Make a Copy, and you can delete all the data. The only rows to not delete is because they have functions. It's where it says CS per minute, KDA, and perfect games. Those 3 rows contain functions, so don't delete those 3.
Okay. Sorry, which ones?
It will be CS per minute,
CS per minute,
KDA, and perfect games. Those 3 are the ones that.
Cool.
Okay. Do you have it saved in your drive? Okay. Excuse me if you hear like things. It's a lot of wind today. I don't know what's happening.
It's cool, no problem.
Okay. So after you have it, let me know.
I do.
All right. Okay, so now that we have that already set up, I'm gonna talk about the other part of the improvement, which is basically.
Hold on, let me get your email address and I'll share it with you.
Oh, sure.
Email address.
Sure. I can write it down here if you want.
Yep. Okay, cool. So go on.
Okay. So now we have that going on. I have a few already habits and fundamentals that we can practice, but I'll talk about them later. The other part though is to know that when you get into the game, because maybe you don't have this problem because you are have been playing only 1 season, but there's a lot of players that, because they've been playing so much, their brain has already reached the line of automaticity with the game, and they are not actively thinking while they're playing the game, so they tend to autopilot the whole game sometimes. So to fix that, I don't know if it's the case for you, because I've seen in the game you talk about quite a lot of stuff, so I think it's not your case, but in any way, I'm gonna give you here the thing that I use a lot with my students, which is mindfulness bell. It's kind of weird, but the whole idea behind it is to basically give you mindfulness in the game so that you remember what you're practicing. So for example, if you are practicing not dying and you have, for example, all the questions regarding to not dying, for example, where's the jungler, and do I have summoners and stuff like that, you can, for example, every time you hear the bell, you can just basically ask yourself the questions so that it brings more mindfulness. But again, I think you will not have this problem. I'm just making sure that you have all the tools available.
Cool. I mean, it doesn't hurt to use it anyway.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't use it anymore, but for new habits and stuff, I think it's definitely useful.
Cool.
Okay, so yeah, we had that, and after that, I'm gonna talk about the champion pool. Regarding improvement, I mean, for climbing, you can use your own champion pool, but experience has told me that a lot of players that they end up doing their practice with a specific champion pool. After that, they tend to use those champions for climbing as well, just because they've learned the champion on practice. But yeah, it's totally up to you. But yeah, for practice, I always like to use simple champions that basically fit the goals we want to practice, right? So for example, if you want to practice your CSing or whatever, you wouldn't, for example, pick Soraka and go support, right? Because you're not gonna be able to CS. The same goes for example, if you want to practice playing passively, you wouldn't pick an assassin and try to go all out. So it's just basically to find champions that fit the things we want to practice. And I also like to target or use simple champions because it takes less games to learn, so that we don't waste any time, because it doesn't really matter with what champion you practice them, because they are fundamentals and they will translate to all your champions. But I find it faster to just pick a champion that only takes you like 5 games to learn, instead of picking, for example, like Yasuo or LeBlanc that takes like 50 games to learn. Depends on the person, of course, but yeah, that's my main approach.
Okay, so I've decided at this point to focus Lux and Ahri. They're really similar. They're both mid laners. They were easy to pick up. If you think those are appropriate, then we can do with that. Or maybe I can like find something else to main. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, I think from both they're quite like similar. So I think you've played more Lux, right, than Ahri.
Yeah.
So maybe we can keep. I like to keep like a champion pool of 3 champions, 3 to 4. So we will find time for each and every one. So I think we can keep Lux. But I'm gonna.
I'm 1 or 2 more.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you as well like a blind pick option and a counter pick option, so that you, for example, if you go into solo queue and you're in champ select and you blind pick Lux, so that means that you pick her without knowing what you're playing against. Certain champions have an easier time on a blind pick spot because of their champion capabilities and weaknesses and stuff.
Right.
But other champions have really hard time. So for example, if you pick Lux and then the enemy team picks like LeBlanc or Zed, that could be kind of difficult. So I always like to have like a blind pick option that you can pick when you are first pick or you still don't know what you're playing against, and then to have like a bunch of 2 or 3 champions for counter pick or to pick after the enemy. That's also good for climbing. I'm just doing it right now so that we have a variety of our champions. But yeah, that will also be good for climbing. So yeah. So
hey, hold on. Pause. Is it 5 o'clock over there now?
Yeah, it's 5 o'clock. 5.
Okay, damn. I didn't realize. So I have to apologize because I didn't realize you would want to cover all this stuff.
It's okay. It's okay.
And this sounds like really important stuff. So maybe we should schedule another to so that you can finish without being rushed.
I have like I gotta be ready for like 5:45. So maybe I have time to explain everything. But if I feel like I need more time, or you feel like you need more time, we can of course look for second session and stuff. But
okay, no,
yeah,
I'm okay.
Okay. So yeah, what was I? Regarding champion pool. So I think we can keep Lux. I will encourage you to have her as a second pick instead of a blind pick, just because of her weaknesses on lane.
That's cool.
And one of the champions that I like a lot to use to improve, and because she's able to be blind picked quite easily, is Annie. Do you know the champion? Yeah,
I didn't really click with Annie, but I'm happy to give Annie another shot.
you like her. I mean, just because first we will focus on mainly CSing and lane control. She has good CSing patterns and stuff like that. But again, I really encourage you to know that it's just for the practice. Like, you don't have to then play this champion on solo queue after the practice and stuff. It's just for the practice.
Oh, okay. Cool.
And yeah, because she's quite simple, you'll quite learn her quite fast. So it's okay.
Cool.
So yeah, we'll go with Annie for now, to practice the first fundamentals. And Ari and Lux, I would actually tell you to for now we'll try to step down a little bit, just so that we get down because you will see that the practice will go super fast if you just focus on one thing. And you won't be playing Annie that much. I'm just trying to encourage you to step down a little bit with Ari and Lux, so that we get down the first fundamentals, and then they
so
can
we'll do
come
Annie
back
for the time being until. Okay.
Yeah. It will be quite fast.
Cool.
All right, so we'll have Annie as blind pick, and then Lux and Ari as a secondary picks.
Cool.
For the practice. Yeah, that will be the tools basically. And now regarding to what to practice, I haven't finished checking your game, but yeah, I have a few things that we can already schedule for your practice. So I mean like basically typing down on your Excel, so that you already have stuff to focus on.
Great.
Before the next session. So I'll try to I'll go for order of importance. So basically, as you see, the first student, they wanted on the Excel practice CSing and not dying, and to this day I still think those are the most important habits or fundamentals in this game. They're really interrelated and actually quite important, just because the way that they bring you, for example, if you practice the habit of not dying, it will bring you a lot of awareness towards like your surroundings, the minimap, timing summoner spells, timing the enemy ult. All of these things are really gonna improve you so much, because a lot of players are not doing it. So you'll already have quite a upper hand. And I've seen like a lot of cases where people just improve on only this, and they get like already hit gold and stuff like that. So just so that you have perspective, that there's players in high silver or high gold that still don't have this habit. So so yeah, all right, so I would say the first one to practice will be your CSing, because you can practice this of course in game, but you can also use the practice tool. Right. So, and I think the way I do it always is because I saw in your game that under turret you have quite a bit of trouble CSing under turret.
It's like sometimes I'll be in the zone and I'll do everything I'm supposed to do. You know, you're supposed to like auto and then the turret and then an auto, and then I'll be like, yeah, and then sometimes I just fuck the whole thing up. So
yeah, I mean, it's quite hard sometimes when the minions come in like weird HP values, so they don't come full HP, so it's not always like one hit and then one hit and that. So sometimes they come and you need to like time your abilities and your auto attacks so that you get them perfectly. That is really champion specific and practice, so that if you try to CS under turret with a champion you haven't played never, it's gonna be really hard because you don't know the ability duration, the ability timing and damage. But I think that if you practice, for example, I will do like practice drills on practice tool for 10 minutes before starting out your game session. So for example, we go into a practice tool 10-15 minutes, and I will put a bot on the enemy team to push you the wave under turret. And then I will look to, first off, I wouldn't say to go for CS. I will just try to experiment with your abilities, see how fast your E travels when you throw it in front of you, how much damage does it do at the rank 1, at rank 2. Try to see your auto attacks. Maybe you can space out auto attacks faster if you do like Q, auto attack Q, or E in between them. So yeah, basically kind of like experimenting first, so that you can see your limits and what you can do and you cannot do. I would start off first with Annie, of course. It's gonna be quite simple with Annie first, but it will be enough to get you going, so that you can also be getting comfortable with this and with the champion.
Right.
So yeah, we'll do, for example, 10 15 minutes of practicing before you start your day or your practice session. And then,
Okay.
and then after that, I will jump to a solo queue, well, not solo queue, flex game or normal game, and try the same thing. Just focus all the game instead of paying attention to, imagine when you're playing to win, you're paying attention to everything, right? But when you're trying to practice, you're only paying attention on one thing. So I would really encourage you, when you are in those games practicing your CSing, that you only focus on your CSing, that you, I mean, you can look the minimap so that you don't die, but you wouldn't push the lane, you wouldn't roam, you will just focus on CSing, and you can actually leave the wave so that the enemy pushes it, so that you practice it under turret, and that's gonna give you your laning CS practice. And then after laning, then it comes like mid to late game CSing, which a lot of players have this problem too, which is basically CSing when there is no objective on the map. So for example, if there is no Drake available, or there is no Herald or Baron, then you can hit any side lane, and you can even farm the jungle so that you keep high CS per minute. And you will actually look to ignore every team fight, because team fights are really coin flipping in this game, because even if you are ahead, the chances of the team fight going right are so going wrong are so high that it's not worth it to team fight all the time. It's just only worth it to team fight for real objectives. So so for example, you always want to make sure you check everything before the team fight, your flash, your ultimate, your items, if they're on cooldown, if you have Zonias or whatever, and try to team fight on the best conditions possible. So for example, when your flash is up, when you have your items and stuff, and also to like I said, yeah, to team fight, to know why you are team fighting. Because if you have everything up and you make all the checks, but then you are team fighting over nothing and you win the team fight or you lose it, that's not the point, you winning or losing it. It's just to know what you're gonna get after the team fight. If you're gonna get a turret, being first like tier 1 or tier 2, team fighting for those turrets is actually not that much worth it, because turrets only give 100 gold, which is a minion wave, and you know that the turret is gonna cost you a team fight, and team fighting is coin flipping, but the wave could just be taken like 100% secured wave, right? It's not like the wave is gonna magically disappear or whatever, but the team fight is actually what's statistically gonna make you die more in the game. So that's why I encourage people a lot to just team fight over real objectives, because those are the ones that you need to team fight over, right? But you don't need to team fight over waves. So that's right. That's the important thing. And the other important thing is that you will not be sharing the XP and the gold. So for example, if you're trying to take the mid turret, you have to take into account the time that you're gonna take. So maybe you need 2 minutes to take that turret, right, with your team, CSing. So that is 4 waves that you are splitting between your team. So the gold and the XP of 4 waves has to be divided by 5. But if you farm the top side or the bot side, is 1 wave for you entirely, or 4 waves in this case for you entirely. Because that turret is going to go down eventually. You being there or not, that's not the important objective. The actual important objective that you really should be team fighting over is, of course, Baron being the most important one, and the important Drakes like Elder Drake, Herald, and Infernal Drakes, and Mountain Drakes. All the other objectives don't actually provide that much advantage for you to be risking your life for it, or just basically losing waves on the other side of the map, because you gotta. There's this other part, because this is for reducing your deaths per game, right, and keeping up high CS per minute. But there's also another good thing that will happen if you start doing this. You will notice that if you are constantly hitting side lanes and farming by yourself, when the real team fight comes up, like the Baron team fight, you will be most likely be 1 or 2 items ahead of everyone because you've been farming by yourself, and you will be most likely 2 or 3 levels ahead of everyone, which that also increases your chances of winning the team fight because you will do more damage, you will be more tanky, you'll have more items as well. So yeah, it's basically all benefits by doing this.
Okay, is this a break for questions?
Yeah, basically. Sorry if I'm
Okay,
going really too much, but yeah, you can ask me something.
So let me review. You want me to practice pause this game so it's not distracting me. You want me to practice CSing both in the practice tool and by going in like a draft game and letting them push me into tower. Specifically CSing under tower.
Exactly. That's right.
Okay. I will practice that. How many practice games do you think per actual games?
I think for this one, because you also need a few games to get accustomed to Annie, I think you can maybe go between 10 and 15 games. Because the important thing to know how many you need is to see your improvement. So if you start filling up your Excel and you see, okay, right now my CS per minute is 5. Okay, so if I'm focusing on this, and then you look at your CS per minute after 10 games, did it improve? Did you manage to hit like 8 or 9 or 10 CS per minute? Then that means that you've correctly adopted the habit, right? That is how I go about it, but sometimes it usually is between 15 or like 10, 15, 20 sometimes.
Okay, so then just CSing until CS practicing until I see an improvement, basically.
Exactly, yeah. You will basically, usually the goal is between, I mean, it's going to be hard some games, but usually it's achievable to get between, I would say between 7 and 9 CS per minute is usually the best, the most attainable one, or the one that you should go for.
Cool.
And yeah, you'll basically see it up here on the Excel, but you can also check on OPGG how you're performing. But yeah, I like the Excel more because of the colors and stuff, because it gives you kind of like a overview.
Where does it say my? Oh, here it is. So 145, 4.1 per minute. Got it. Cool.
Okay.
What was my other question? So yes. So you're advocating like don't fight the enemy team. Instead, find a lane where no one is, or a jungle camp, and farm that.
Exactly. Like mostly when there is no objectives, right?
When there are no objectives to take.
Yeah, because sometimes you will see that your team, I will encourage you, if your team is like pinging you or asking you to come fight, try to ignore all of those calls, because people usually like to team fight a lot. They don't really think about it before doing it. They think about before. Sorry, after.
I totally agree. So then, well, they're going to get mad at me, which I guess I'm just going to mute.
Yeah, sometimes people, I mean, it will happen a lot of things, and you don't really can control this. This is why I like to do this on a practice environment instead of risking your elo, because a lot of players wouldn't want to do this on solo queue. Because you will go down or you will go up. It's quite unpredictable, but yeah, I will.
Okay, so you're saying just for the purposes of practicing CS, I should wander into my own lane and farm. If there's no important team fight going on. Is that something that you would have me do in an actual game, or is this just for practice purposes?
This is basically what I will encourage everyone to do on their games, but for now we're doing it on a practice, because as you do it, a lot of questions will come up and you will understand more things and stuff like that. But the goal actually is so that you get this habit on your actual games, because it is statistically proven. I have a lot of OPGs, and myself included, that by doing this where it's not a strat, it's basically by doing this approach, your deaths per game go down, your CS per minute go up, and your win rate actually goes up. So this is more consistent than team fighting all the time, because team fighting is really coin flipping, and you want to coin flip less times on the game. If you coin flip, let it be on an important objective, right? Let it coin flip only 4 times per game, right? So that you may only die 2 times, to say a number, and yeah, you'll actually increase your chances of winning the game more, because if you team fight over the Baron team fight, which is usually the deciding one, and you are 2 levels ahead or 3 items ahead, and you end up winning it, that's the one that makes the most impact on an actual game, instead of a team fight on a jungle at 7 minutes that don't usually end up in nothing. There's only missing 2 waves, which is the actual gold that the kill will provide. So sometimes people don't understand it, but yeah, like 15 minions is a kill, and the kill is like you have to coin flip for the kill, and the minions are 100% secured. So yeah, this is something that I would encourage you to, after the practice, do on your own games. It's basically like a habit that you will adopt here, but you will end up using after.
Okay, how do you go about farming side lanes with Lux, who's super squishy and likes to get jumped, and usually wants to stay with her team?
So it's true what you say, that the you could all get like assassinated or whatever. Here is where basically map awareness comes into play, and vision control. So what I mean is basically you will have to get used to it. So that is why we do it in a practice. But it's basically knowing how far you can farm up. So for example, if you're hitting a side lane and you are closer to your turret, and there's a big wave, and you farm it, and then you keep pushing, and then hit you will know it by doing this by experience, but you will know when you are overextending based on your vision control and based on the people that you see in the minimap. So if you are transpassing, for example, the mid side of the lane, and you're going to their side of the map, and you see 3 people are missing, then you know it's basically time to go back, so that you don't get chased or whatever. Yeah, I mean this is more the fundamental of not dying, but that we will practice, of course, after. But yeah, you will find that this will give you a lot of insight too, and a lot of questions will come up. That's for sure.
Okay, so this is why this person said that CSing and not dying are, I guess you said it too, are related. Because while you're farming side lanes, you have to stay alive and not die while you're doing it, and so you have to
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that will be for that specific fundamental, which I think will sorry, I can't speak. Will most likely take you 15 to 20, because I'm taking into account 5 games for Annie, so that you learn her. But yeah, you can. There's a few videos that you can watch for Annie, but basically it's her Q is like an executioner that when you kill the minion, half of the cooldown and half of the mana for the ability is given back to you when you kill a minion with it. So it really encourages you to farm with the Q instead of your auto attacks. But yeah, you need to take into account your W, the HP value of the minion. Yeah, you will get a lot of questions. That's for sure. But yeah, that is why we do this.
How liberal should I be about taking camps from my own jungler?
I would say, so I mean, people of course will get mad, but in talking about like actual impact, if you will put your jungler behind and stuff, I would say every time you see your jungler quite far away from the camp. So for example, let's say you are on mid lane, right, and all of the top side camps are cleared, and you are looking to get the for example wolves, right? And you see your jungler is taking Herald on top side. That I think is a correct moment to take wolves, because in the next minute he's not gonna come to the wolves, right? So by actually killing the wolves there, you're actually doing him a favor, because if you don't kill them and then he comes 1 minute after to kill them, camps level up, right, by minute.
Oh.
if you kill them. So that means that by killing the wolves, maybe you kill them at level 7. By the time he comes back to wolves and they respawn, they might be level 8. So they give more gold and more XP. So that is another thing to take into account.
Only if you kill them, though. So if he's on the other side of the map, and I think that I can kill him, and they have a good chance of respawning before he gets back, then it's...
Yeah, it's quite like that. Yeah, it's not like, this is not 100% gonna be the case every game. Sometimes you'll make the mistake of taking them, but you gotta be know that it's okay. Like, it's okay to make mistakes because we are gonna practice. And yeah, the late the game goes, it's the less important the camps get. So for example, if you take like the chickens at like 40 minutes, it's fine. Like, everyone's gonna be full built anyway. So yeah.
I'm not gonna be getting these camps at the beginning of the game. I'm gonna be farming my own lane.
yeah, they're quite rough to take if you're early level.
Right. Okay. Cool. I think I'm out of questions specifically about that.
Okay. So I think for that, 15 games will be most likely. Then the other one, I think we can address it now. The next one will be for dying, the fundamental of not dying, which of course it's interrelated, but it's you will practice it in a different way. I would actually encourage you to practice it separately, because it's if you get this down, there's so many things. I mean, the fundamental of not dying is really complex because you need to take away a lot of stuff, like the enemy ult. You need to take away if he has summoners, if you don't have summoners, the output damage that they do with each ability, the fast, like the travel speed. Like, there's a lot of things, but it's basically come down, like the basic of it, to asking yourself the basic questions of where is the enemy jungler, where is he most likely going to be or to gank based on current information. So for example, if you see that the enemy jungler is starting red, and you know he has good level 1 or level 2 gank potential, then you know, okay, I'm gonna play left side of the lane to not get ganked by that side, and also to not push the lane, because even if I'm left side, he can go around if I'm pushing too much. That's one thing. Then basically being aware of your own summoners, because I see there's a lot of players that they don't change their playstyle depending on their summoners. So for example, if you waste or you use your flash on a gank and you escape, a lot of players have this problem that they still play the same way even if their flash is down, and the next time the enemy jungler comes, they are dead because they don't have flash. So it's basically comes down to being aware of when your flash is down and constantly repeating yourself, okay, my flash is down, I gotta be careful, my flash is down, I gotta be careful. I can join the team fight, but maybe I should be more far up, right? Basically, looking to be careful, right, with your positioning when your flash is down.
Okay, that's definitely something I can improve on.
Okay. So yeah, flashing, timing summoners, for example, looking at the map. Basically, for the jungler, it's unlikely that the enemy top or bot will gank you, but it's possible. So you gotta be aware of the minimap. So yeah, this is all related to your not dying fundamental, which for now, I mean, these fundamentals are like this, basic at now, but they will begin to get more advanced as you go higher levels, higher elo.
Right.
But yeah, for now, I think those basic questions will improve your awareness a lot for like where's the jungler, and then regarding the enemy laner, when can he kill you. That's gonna make a really huge difference on your deaths per game.
Yeah, I notice I definitely die a lot in the second half of the game.
Oh, so you mean like more related to team fighting?
Not even necessarily. Like, I had a game last night where at least 3 separate times I'm cruising along, I'm reasonably near my team, suddenly I'm surrounded, I'm dead. what? So
yeah, I mean, that could be like a lot of factors, but basically it could be like watching out for your surroundings, character control is something that a lot of players don't improve, and it actually makes a huge difference how well you can control your character. I mean, this is not a fundamental, this is like a mechanic that you cannot practice like with habits. You need to practice this one like with experience or with practice tool hours. Like you go to a practice tool, and I mean the rule of thumb is to try to click close as you can to your character, so that you don't get like auto-pathed, because this game, when you click far away, it makes like a pathing for your character, and sometimes it's not the best or the most accurate one. So if you wanna like look to dodge skill shots, or you wanna be really precise with your movement, it's always best to like click a lot and to click close to your character, because that makes you more responsive, to say it like that. I remember on season 3 or 4 there was like a hack that will make you like, you wouldn't need to click, that they will make you that your mouse will do like 1,000 clicks per second, so that your character will be super responsive or something like that. I remember people were doing that, but yeah, it's basically the same. The more you click, the more responsive, because you're constantly like, you override this auto pathing thingy that I think the game has. So yeah, that is for character control. And yeah, like being aware of your surroundings is really important. I usually have like my right eye it's always like looking at, like I don't look at the center at the screen. I'm really looking more in the minimap, because I know what's happening. It's sort of like you use your peripheral vision for the center of your screen, and then you center your vision on the minimap. Because sometimes, of course, if you're gonna go for a kill, you will center your vision on the center of the screen, right, to look at the enemy champion. But you gotta be aware that when you're laning, you don't need to always look at the center of because you will get it by experience. I mean, sometimes it's hard at the beginning, but I usually like to use my peripheral vision for like not looking at the lane, but rather to look at the lane with peripheral vision, and to look at the minimap with my centered vision. So you
just stare at the minimap and all the time, unless there's something like really important, like trying to get a kill.
Exactly, like mostly like 80% of the game, not 80, maybe 60% or 70%, you want to look at the minimap, because that brings you a lot. But man, it brings you so much awareness. Like it's sort of like you become unkillable, because if you don't die in lane and you don't die to ganks, how are you gonna die? You're never gonna die in lane. The only deaths that you will have might be on team fights later on, and if you only team fight for objectives, you might only die 2 or 3 times per game.
Right. So like, tell me whether or not you agree. I'm reasonably good at not dying in lane.
Yeah.
It's it's like all the other ways of dying that I like to do.
Yeah, like based on what I've saw in the game, yeah, I see that you are quite safe in lane. I mean, there's a lot of players that underestimate the damage of the enemy laner, but I think you don't. You have a good habit of backing when you are low, because there's a lot of greedy players that when they are low, they think maybe I don't get killed, and then they get killed. So at least you don't have that problem. But something I saw in the game is that you are easily poked in lane. I think this.
Oh yeah, Azir. I don't understand how to not get poked by Azir in particular.
Yeah. This is like really like against champion related. I mean, there is certain character movement that can be improved, but yeah, it's mostly 80% of it is knowing against what you're playing, and basically having his abilities in mind. Like, okay, maybe if I go for this CS with an auto attack, he will basically summon a soldier and go for me. So okay, instead I'm gonna use an E from long distance or whatever. Yeah, it's totally understandable. Yeah, that it's because of champion that it's not really played a lot as here.
Yeah, like last night I was playing against the Fizz and I poked him out of existence. But then the same thing, like after the early game stuff ended, I just started dying. Okay, so then, look, you say you look like 60 to 80% at the minimap. Is that including in the laning phase when you have to like focus on last hitting?
Oh, actually, I meant in the first place, I meant in the laning phase, yeah. And then late game is sort of like a transitioning. I think.
Oh wow.
I think late game, because you're like moving more. I think you need to look more at the center of the screen. But of course, it depends. It's hard to describe how to do it. But yeah, I meant actually in laning phase when I'm looking more at the minimap, because
Wow.
there's certain things. I mean, this will take time. Don't expect this to be like you do it and you will do it right the first time. This will take time, because by playing more and more games, you will get more used to. This is where the importance of using the same champions is, that you will get used to their auto attack animation, auto attack speed, damage, Q damage, and all of that. And by repetition, these things will be basically, you will not think about it, and you will not need to focus them or with all of your attention. So that means that you can basically use your peripheral vision to last hit, and then focus your center of your vision on something else, right? Because those are things that will always be the same. So you will have I think a good time to learn the muscle memory with this.
Last hitting in your peripheral vision, that's some next level shit. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite how do you say it, like things that there's not usually, people don't usually talk about this, but I think it's what actually happens in high elo players, that they start to being so comfortable with their champion and what they're playing at, that they don't need to, like, okay, here comes the minion, okay, here comes the turret shot. They don't think about this. They already know it, so their brain can just basically use the focus for something else.
Right. Okay, but in the meantime, I'm just gonna think about that and not worry. The mini map is step 2. Step 1 is worrying about CS.
Yeah, I think that will be a good order to do it first, so that you have time already for to practice Annie as well.
Right.
So yeah, you can maybe do, depends, of course, it will depend on how well you improve at it, but I will do sort of like 15 games or 20 games with DCS in, and then jump up to the next one, which will be Not Dying, and usually it will take again 15-20, depends. If you see that your deaths per game are lowering a lot, especially late game, you will know that you've improved at this exactly, and then we can jump up to other complex stuff. I mean, I have a full list here that I wrote for what I've seen that you can improve on, but I think these 2 are good to start off first.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Question for you is, what like format and frequency do you think we should get together and talk again?
Based on experience, it depends on how many games you can put up a day or a week. How much do you feel like you can play in a day?
Maybe 1 or 2 at most. Sometimes 0 though. Often 0.
Okay. So then I will be sort of like, I would say 2 weeks or 1 week, depending, because you need some time to fill up the Excel, so that we make the most use of this session. So I think it depends. I would say 2 weeks, but I think it depends. If you can maybe, for example, get on a weekend and you have like 5 hours, and then you can play 5 games, maybe that will increase the speed at which you can fill the Excel. But yeah, I would say when you are finishing your first fundamental or your second one, then we can look out to schedule another session so that we can continue with an improvement.
Sweet.
All right. So I think I'm not skipping anything else, but yeah, if you have any questions, just let me know.
I will. I like this, man. You've given me work.
Yeah, I mean,
you basically gave me the exact thing that I said that I like, right?
Oh, true. Yeah, to work on something, tunnel vision, and yeah, that's I mean, that's my approach to fixing stuff. So
yeah.
All right. perfect, man. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions. I'll be up on Discord most likely, and yeah, we'll be in touch then for the next session.
Sounds great, man.
All right, man. So okay, so we'll be in touch, and have a great day.
You too. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I'm going to start to upload coaching sessions that I find will help you, all of you guys, improve at the game. In case you want to get coached by me, the link is in the description. I'm coaching on Gamer Sensei, which is a professional coaching site. But I'm also gonna be giving out free coaching sessions for all of my Twitch subscribers monthly, so make sure to follow me there.